everyone. Welcome to Art Talks Presents, a program brought to you by EPCC's Architecture Society. Today, I will be interviewing Renée Jiménez, President and CEO of MNK Architects. I am your host, Nohemi Vasquez, and Ambassador for EPCC's Architecture Society. Hope you enjoy. Hi, Ms. Renée, how are you doing?
Hi, good, thank you.
So first of all, can you give us a brief description of yourself and what do you do?
Yes, I am President CEO of MNK Architects. I've been working here since 2005. Prior to working with MNK, I was working with a firm out of Phoenix, worked there for a total of 5 years. I started my architectural degree at EPCC. And then from there, I transferred my credits, was able to transfer my credits to Texas A&M, get a bachelor's in environmental design. And my entire way of college, including at EPCC, I was able to pursue jobs were in my field. So my very first architectural job was with ECM International here still locally, and then CEA on the summers that I didn't work there. So I've had a tremendous experience working with different firms throughout my career. And like I said, I moved here to El Paso in 2005, where I joined MNK. And then in 2009, they offered me a principal position within the firm. And then I became president CEO shortly after that.
Oh, that's really cool. And what truly inspired you to pursue architecture in the first place?
Well, I mean, I could give you my my long story or my short story, but the funny one or the serious one. I think I always had like a niche for drawing when I was little, and my dad would do a lot of construction projects. I actually started my first business in first grade. My first business was a candy store, so I borrowed $5 from my mom, bought 760 Tootsie Rolls, sold each Tootsie Roll for a penny, and then paid my mom back, went and bought some more Tootsie Rolls. And from there, I just kept growing and reinvesting in my company to the point where I got a snow cone machine, started selling snow cones, and decided that I needed to move to the corner of the house of our yard in order to get more visibility from the kids across the street coming to school. And so I started my first business that way, and then I built my own little candy shack in the corner of the house and put it on casters so I could roll it around to the best spot in the yard to get the most business. I did that all the way up to my last year in middle school, and all that money that I saved, because I earned quite a bit of money, I put it away for college. So my first bank account was actually with First Light Credit Union in first grade, in which I still have that account. So I continue. So I think I always was kind of somewhat business related, and then I was always decorating my room for every holiday there was, hanging snowflakes, putting trees with apples falling. So I always had this niche for architecture, and I was always waking up early doing art. All my gifts were oil paints and watercolors and colored pencils. So I think I always had that niche. But when I got into college, when I was in high school, my last year, I should probably tell you this. I was told by a substitute teacher that none of us in the class, because I was in a resource class, so a little bit slow at reading and writing. So in the class, there was 5 of us, and the substitute teacher told us that the chances of any of us going to college was 0. And so I'm the type of person that is motivated by somebody telling me I can't do something. And so I took that as a challenge. So the day I graduated from high school, I went and signed up for EPCC, sitting in the counselor's office, and the counselor asked me what I wanted to study. I had no idea. So I said, well, what's my options? I have no patience. So architecture was in the A's, sounded good, architecture. So that's how I picked architecture, and I stuck with it all the way through. But again, I still had that background of building and doing art growing up. How was your experience at EPCC when you first entered? How do you perceive the architecture environment? So I've always been like an overachiever. So I had Mr. Langford was my very first professor in architecture school at EPCC. I had a great experience. I was president of the Architectural Student Association, and I was always top of the class, very vocal, very sit in the front. Mr. Langford, the first thing that he had told me at EPCC, or told the entire class the very first day, the very first things out of his mouth was, if you were in architecture for the money, then you're in the wrong profession, and so you should probably leave. Ironically, by the end of the class of the semester, there was probably about, I think we dropped from about probably 20 students in the class to maybe 7 remaining. But my experience was very well. Mr. Langford was a great instructor. Some of the other instructors, like Mr. Cohen, was there. He was teaching art. I don't know if you know him, but it was a great experience. I loved EPCC.
You also mentioned that you are a CEO of MNK Architects. How did you get there, and how did you rise to your position?
Okay, so again, I moved to El Paso in 2005, not really wanting to come back to El Paso. I was working for an architectural firm in Phoenix, and my husband wanted to move back to El Paso. So I was looking for firms. I interviewed with several. I should say I interviewed several architectural firms. I never went into an interview as if they were interviewing me. I always took the attitude as if I'm going in to interview them. So that's how I've always taken all of my interviews. So I interviewed MNK on a Sunday, and I was very intrigued by MNK because one, the principals were very highly respected in the community, and I knew that. They also had a lot of work at the airport. Some of the work that I did while I was in the firm in Phoenix was the Sky Harbor Airport. So I liked the aviation side of it. And then I knew that they also focused on a lot of education. So I chose to work at MNK, and I was, again, a little bit of an overachiever. So I was the first lead AP here in El Paso when I joined MNK. And at that time, they didn't have a chapter in El Paso. So I took the initiative of starting a local USGBC chapter. And from there, I got to know more people and really got engaged with, people in construction, people with different backgrounds in the same profession, and grew from there. And then the day I got licensed as an architect, the 3 original partners of MNK offered me a position as a partner. I knew that I wasn't prepared to do it on my own, and I knew I had a lot to learn, but I knew that those 3 original partners were going to take me under their wing and teach me all of the things that I really needed to learn. So I took that opportunity, and I said yes. Shortly, a little while after, they started retiring slowly. As they retired, they offered me to buy their shares out, and so I did that, and I became the CEO.
Oh, that's really cool. And sorry. And I'm pretty sure that many people know that for the few past years, although there's been an increase with the female architect population, it's still very considered as a male dominant. Do you had to face any obstacles when it came to that?
I don't like to use being a woman as an excuse or an obstacle. I treat myself, and I go into any project just as knowledgeable as a man would, just as confident as a man would, and expect the same treatment that a man would. I have been in situations where contractors are like, "Oh no, you don't need to go on the roof. You're a woman," and I'll be like, "No, I'm going on the roof." So if I ever got questioned for being a woman, or if they treated me a little bit different, I would step up and stop it immediately. And I think as women, we should do that in any profession that we're in. We're just as equal as a man, and we can do as just as good, or sometimes even better than men. And so I don't think we should allow ourselves to be put down just because we're women. And so I've never let that happen to me.
And did you go through any struggles, let's say through your college education? Did you have any struggles when you were studying or trying to focus on the concepts of architecture?
Not. I think my biggest struggle, if I had to pick a course that I probably struggled with the most, it would probably be architectural history. I do believe that history of architecture and history with anything is of importance, but that would probably be the one that I probably struggled with the most. And it was probably because there was a lot of reading and writing part of it.
And do you have any type of style or philosophy that you have when it comes to designing your projects?
So I've always been the type of person that if you're designing something, it's not your project. It's not your vision that you should be putting into that project. I think listening to the clients in which I'm designing for is the utmost importance to me. So delivering a vision that is for somebody that you're designing for is the most important to me. So understanding what their look is. I don't like driving. I hope nobody can drive around town and be like, that's an MNK project. Because that's the last thing I want to happen. I want it to be the owner's project. So that's my philosophy.
And was there anyone that motivated you to keep going in architecture, to take the career other than yourself?
Probably my parents. My mom always said, you need to, as a woman, you need to support yourself. Don't ever depend on a man, and be with somebody that you love, not because you need them. And so that always encouraged me. My mom was very much into education as well. She was a teacher, and my great grandmother, was the first woman to ever graduate from New Mexico, in New Mexico State. She graduated, she went to school in Silver City. So I still have the newspaper article and her diploma. My daughter shows that a lot because it's something that I think I value a lot in women, is really to take the effort and grow yourself and to constantly be learning. So I would owe all of my success to, of course, people who I've worked with. Mervyn Moore was one of my great mentors, and he was the founder of MNK Architects. His sweet, passionate, and the way he treated his employees, the way he developed the culture within the firm was something I looked up to. And then Rod was also a great mentor as well, also a partner within the firm. His way of managing a business and managing employees and getting things done, and his attention to detail and his attention to quality are all things that I took from the original partners within the firm. So I owe it to a lot of people, my success.
Wow, that's really sweet. And do you have any other plans or projects? I know that with the current circumstances that we're facing right now, it's a little bit more difficult, but do you have any plans for the future?
I would like to grow outside of El Paso, but my biggest plan for the future is really to get a partner on board. It was nice to see the three original partners run MNK, and I do have there are a total of four of us, one associate principal within the firm now, and then three other principals. A partnership versus a principal is something that's very different. I've never wanted to do architecture on my own, and you probably know that from school a little bit. You probably do things in projects as a team. So it's the same thing in an architectural firm. Team is part of architecture in general, and so my goal moving forward is to look and move people into a partnership position to move the firm to the next generation and move it forward as Mervyn, Rod, and Leonard did originally. So just continue MNK in the way that it's always been. It's a great reputation, delivers quality, delivers vision, and that's my goal, is just to keep it going. I inherited a jewel. I say that all the time. I thank them every day I walk into this office. I thank the three original partners. They gave me something that was very special, and I hope to continue it on and continue all of their great efforts that they put into the firm.
Where would you like to expand to from other than El Paso, the MMK company?
I've thought of Fort Worth would be a good area, and then Phoenix. I lived in Phoenix for a total of 5 years, and so I have relationships there, and so that's an area. My sister lives there. Both of my sisters live in the Arizona area, And so I think if you grow in areas in which you already have relationships, you'll probably be more successful. And so I think growing in either Fort Worth or Phoenix is my next venture out.
And do you have any suggestions for any aspiring architect students who are, whether they're deciding of going into architecture or not, who are already in it and they're trying to make their career successful as a student and as an architect in the future?
Yeah, I do. I would say do it because you're passionate about it. Don't do it for the money. There is money in architecture too, but do it more for the passion. Keep the passion going. Do it because you want to make an impact on the world. Do it because you want to inspire people using the places in which you helped create. I use the word helped create because you can't do it alone. It takes a team to put a great project together. And you can't do architecture, like I said, on your own. And so be a team player. Be okay being a team member and not being a team leader all the time. And speak up. If you have a great idea, speak up and let it get used. Because if you don't speak up, your great ideas don't get to be seen. No, you don't always do tasks that you love. There's tasks that that need to be done, even if it's not something that you thought you would like to do or you thought architecture was about. But every task you do, have the same passion that you would on any task. So that would be my advice for anybody going into architecture.
And do you have any plans as an architect yourself, apart from the MNK company? Do you plan to expand yourself through other states as well, other than Arizona and Phoenix?
No, probably just Fort Worth, like I said, Fort Worth and Phoenix at this point. I think, I mean, I don't know that I want to get any larger. I think I don't want to ever lose the quality in which MNK is known for. Quality means a lot. Your reputation means a lot as well. And so I don't want to stretch myself too thin, nor do I want to stretch the people of the firm too thin. Quality is important. So as long as we have the right people on board to continue the efforts of quality, then I think we'll succeed. So I just want to do it little by little and do it right.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you so much for coming here and taking your time from your busy schedule to come and talk a little bit about yourself and your company and the obstacles and things you had to overcome to becoming a successful architect.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
This concludes our program. Thank you for listening to Art Talks Presents, brought to you by EPCC's Architecture Society, an interview with Renée Jiménez. This is your host, Nohemi Vasquez. Until next time.